Hello and welcome to another episode of the PropSwap podcast. We are your hosts, Ian Epstein
and Luke Pergande.
And we are also the founders of PropSwap, the first marketplace to buy and sell sports bets. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We've got another great episode for you. We will get into a crazy parlay that involves one leg remaining with the World Cup. Luke and I will go over our favorite stake or swap picks. But first, I thought we would touch on a story that came out recently in the sports betting world regarding one of the largest sports books in the country, DraftKings, and a story that broke over the weekend in regards to customer accounts being hacked into. On Saturday and Sunday, there were different reports circulating around Twitter about people noticing that money had been withdrawn from their account that they didn't do. When they would try to log back into their account, the password had been changed, and then the recovery phone number had been changed, and lots of customers were having issues getting a hold of DraftKings customer service, and it was quite a big issue. More information has come out. Our friend Darren Ravel has done a great job covering the story, and DraftKings put out a statement on Monday, and co-founder Paul Lieberman was quoted as saying that it was only about $300,000 in customer funds that were affected, and that the login information of these customers was compromised on other websites. So there was no data breach of DraftKings, but that being said, Lieberman went on to say that the company intends to make whole any customer who was impacted. So, Luke, I'll ask you, what do you think this story means in terms of the world of legalized sports betting? And is this, is this kind of erode customer confidence?
Yeah, I think it does. This has happened to me on Facebook. There was just one time I got an email saying, were you trying to log into your Facebook? I said no, and then tried to reset my password, and the text message was going to a completely separate phone number. Like, it was not going to my phone number that I was asking the code to get sent to. They completely locked me out of my account. A hacker did. So it happens. I mean, that was 2 years ago on Facebook to myself. So it was a matter of time till this happened to a legalized sports betting account. So it's definitely feasible for a hacker to do. I appreciate DraftKings doing the right thing and making everyone whole. But I mean, can you imagine? Like, it seemed like one customer had money being transferred out of his bank account, like, from DraftKings. Like, that's, back in the olden days when people were freaked out about login on computers versus, paper and pencil, I'm sure they were like, wait a minute, so I'm going to put in my bank account information and DraftKings is going to be able to store my bank account information securely? Like, that scares me. And lo and behold, something happened where DraftKings can literally just go pull money from your bank account, which is wild.
Yeah, so, I mean, people were noticing that the hackers were making deposits, right, with the saved payment methods, and then withdrawing to their, via check or bank account. And one of the guys in the story talks about, because these sports books will send you an email every time you do a withdrawal request. And so this guy was getting emailed, and it was like, it was a check in the customer's name being sent to an address in Houston, and the guy's like, I've never even been to Houston in my life, and he was tweeting like at the Houston police, like, hey, you want to go track this guy down? So it's definitely really scary stuff. But I think this leads to another kind of question that Darren talks about in his article, which is that consumer confidence in digital funds, digital wallets, is kind of at an all-time low right now, especially coming off the back of this FTX story. I know you've been following the FTX story extremely closely. What do you think this all means in terms of, like you said, like, we went from a point of like no one trusting online banking, digital payments at all, to like everyone trusting it to a really high degree. Do you think there's going to be kind of this pullback now in terms of like going to think twice before I just put money in a digital wallet and assume that it's there?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly went and looked at my E-Trade account when that FTX news went down, just to make sure that E-Trade was backed by the FDIC. The FDIC is a tool that ensures banks can all the deposits can be held and can be backed up. Basically, the Federal Reserve, prints money in case there was a run on banks. That would keep everyone's confidence there. And the Fed would literally just print money to back up our customer deposits in banks. And clearly in E-Trade, I think E-Trade is owned by Morgan Stanley now. But with FTX, obviously the FDIC is not backing up FTX. So, if you're putting your money, and same thing with sports betting accounts, that actually is a fair question. I haven't thought about that. Like, are sports books investing our money? If I have 80 grand sitting in there, are they investing that money? And I'm sure it's not sports. I'm sure they're not investing in sports betting. And that is the issue with why the FTX guys were so stupid. In my opinion, is like literally tenant number one of crypto is it's volatile, and you're investing all these customer funds in crypto. Like, you're going to get caught with your pants down eventually, because literally the number one characteristic of crypto is it's very volatile. It goes up and down quickly. So they got caught with their pants down. But I doubt sports books are investing our money. But kind of similar stories here where customer funds are not as secure as we maybe thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think big difference between E-Trade and DraftKings are highly regulated and publicly traded companies versus FTX, not regulated, not a publicly traded company. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure that DraftKings would have to just probably disclose if they had customer funds, sitting in markets right now. And they would not allow, they could not be dipping into customer funds to pay for TV commercials that we see every week, unlike I guess FTX. But yeah, no, it's all kind of crazy. But yeah, I think when you're highly regulated, like sports books are, like banks are, I think that you can still have some confidence that there is someone over watching them versus no watchdog whatsoever in the crypto community. Mm-hmm. And then, but the last thing I'll mention on the story is that I do think it just raises a question to me about, okay, so let's just say these customers' accounts were hacked, their passwords are compromised on a third-party site. That's not DraftKings' fault, but yet DraftKings is going to make these customers whole. So I do wonder if more is going to come out about this story, because otherwise, why would DraftKings be just, giving back $300,000? For all they know, maybe these people are working with the hackers, and they're gonna get the stolen money, and they're gonna get the money back in their account. So that is something that is perplexing to me.
Yeah, I think they clearly need to have more safeguards in place to not allow a user to compromise that account. Like, I did nothing wrong with Facebook, but someone got into my account and completely locked me out of it. Like, I didn't do anything. I didn't enter my password into another account, but they got in and changed the phone number. So clearly DraftKings needs to have safeguards in place where phone numbers / addresses can't be changed. You can't, create an address in Houston, all of a sudden get a check sent over there. Like, that shouldn't be easy to do.
Yeah. So another story I wanted to touch on is this massive parlay that it's kind of been floating around for a little bit now, but now that it's only down to one leg, and there is a serious cash out offer that we'll get to. But back in April, a FanDuel customer made a $26 7-leg parlay with the following bets: Kansas to win March Madness, the Warriors to win the NBA Finals, the Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup, AC Milan to win the Italian Serie A, which is basically like the Italy Premier League, Manchester City to win the English Premier League, LAFC to win the MLS Cup, which we have talked about before. They did that a couple weeks ago. And then the last leg is France to win the World Cup. If the bet wins off this $26 parlay, it will collect $557,000. Okay, that's over $500,000 off a $26 bet. France's current odds are 8-1 to win the World Cup. So the ticket has a market value of about $62,000. There was no cash out offer in the FanDuel app. However, once this bet started to get legs on Twitter, specifically BR Betting, which we talked about on last week's podcast, there just so happens to be now screenshots of the bettor communicating with FanDuel over Twitter DMs, and FanDuel has offered this bettor a cash out of $81,571. And I just mentioned, and so those are odds of plus 583 on that cash out offer. As I mentioned, the market value is 62,000. So essentially, FanDuel is offering this customer a cash out offer of about $20,000 more than the market value. And so I don't, as of this recording, I don't know if the bettor has taken it. France has not played their first game yet in the World Cup, but I mean, I think I already know the answer, Luke. But if you were sitting here with this bet, what would you take the cash out offer, or would you let it ride?
I mean, this goes back to last week, when that's like you trying to sell your car, and your Kelly Blue Book is 62,000, and someone in your next door neighbor, where it's easy to get the money from, is offering you 82,000 for your car. Yes, you should probably sell your car for 33% more than the market. Great marketing by FanDuel. Good job by BR Betting. And if this seller is not taking advantage of that, again, like, people get so married to their bets. Like, who cares? Literally take this money and go make another 20K bet on France. Like, why are you so married to this bet just because you want to be correct? Like, I've never really like understood that mindset of sports betting. Like, there's such ego involved just to like be correct, when it's like, how many sports bets you make a year? Like 700. Like, you make so many sports bets throughout the year, and you want to be correct in this one bet over like $82,000 is like serious cash. Like, you are buying a beautiful car or a fat down payment on a home. Like, that puts you at a nice advantage going into 2023. So, yeah. Now, if the cash out was 40% below market value, that's a different discussion, right? If the market value is 62,000 and the cash out offer, which is what we see all the time, this is clearly a marketing ploy. Like, you are not getting this cash out offer if you're not getting a nationwide story out of this. So kudos to FanDuel. But, if you were getting offered 40,000, that's a little bit different. So if you can get 33% above market value at any point in time, you have to take that cash. And again, just go rebet France. I get you want to be excited watching France in the World Cup. I understand all that, but just leave the ego out of it and put 10K back on France at 8-1.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll say is that I think people, because we've seen it firsthand, where that guy was probably thinking about all the things he could buy with $500,000.
Yeah, for sure.
Not everything he could buy with $81,000. And so it's all mindset, man. And so if he was already spending the money in his head for what $500,000 could buy, I'm sure he's probably doing the thing where he goes, well, let me just, once they get out of group play, then I'll sell or something like that. Right. But this example, and then the example we had last week, I've just never seen these examples where the sports books are offering more than the market value. And again, it just so happens that these are all being displayed by a public Twitter account. Yeah. So I totally agree, right? I do think it's great marketing for them, and it's going to get more people to be betting these long shot futures. And I think it's a little unfortunate that these types of cash out offers are not going to be readily accessible to everyone. But yeah, like you said, kudos to FanDuel, kudos to this guy. I really hope that he can take home a five-figure profit. Yeah.
And just last point would be, to your point of, he's probably thinking, well, once they get out of the group play, I'll sell. It's like, all right, let's walk backwards real quick. So if they get to the championship, and let's say they're a coin flip versus whoever they play, that bet will be worth $275,000, right? So if you at any point are going to sell this bet, before the championship, your max value is 275,000. Now, if you sell this thing for 80 racks, you take 10K and go rebet France. Now you've got 70K in your pocket. Let's say you bet 10 back on France, and then you get another 90,000. So that would pay $160,000 if France wins it all. Like, you're leaving such few amount of dollars on the table by selling this thing right now. Like, who knows what could happen? This is such a long tournament. Like, there's so many countries vying for this to win this thing. So I just, people, to your point, like, yes, he's looking at the things he can buy with $500,000, but like, if you take a step back, I'm like, all right, at any point would I sell this bet? And if you're going to sell it, I think all the way to the championship, it's worth $275K.
Yeah. No, I mean, we go through this every year in the March Madness tournament where, and I'll forget, this was a couple of years ago. It was when like Loyola made the Final Four, and it was in the Sweet 16, right? So they were down to like the regional final, and it was like Loyola versus Nevada, and then like Kansas State was playing the 1 seed or something like that, and this guy had this ticket on the 1 seed. Maybe it was like Kentucky, or I forget, some blue blood, right? And so it was the blue blood versus 3 not good teams, and this guy had a future on the 1 seed, and he was like, well, let me get to when they get to the Final Four, like it'll be worth a lot more. And I'm like, that is baked into it, right? They're supposed to make it to the Final Four, right? They're supposed to beat all these teams, and that is baked into the current odds. So France making it out of the group play is baked into the odds. It's not going to go up some tremendous amount of value, but God forbid one of their star players gets hurt, then the thing can plummet in value. So that's an example of a sports book. A couple examples of sports books doing right by the customers. Before we get into stake or swap, I also want to touch on another story that came on the Wall Street Journal about sports books not exactly processing withdrawals at the speed that people would like. I know you've been familiarized yourself with the story. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think we certainly have a million friends in the sports betting industry, and like we've always heard complaints of how, hey, I can't get my money out as quick as I want, and that's by design. Part of it is they don't want people laundering money. They don't want you to credit card deposit $12,000 and then get an ACH out for $11,500 a day later. I get that. I get the sports books asking questions, trying to curb that type of behavior, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this one guy was quoting the article. He bet 1,000. He used like an odds boost and it was up to 2,900, and he wanted to pull it out the next day. And it took him like 3 weeks. There was no phone number, and that's, there's a few issues I have with this. One, you're definitely doing this by design. You want people to just go rebet the money and not withdraw it. Obviously, like there's zero doubt in my mind. Every single sports book, some of the reason for this behavior is they just simply want people to rebet it. Now, there's another reason for this behavior, like trying to deter fraud, for sure. But one of the reasons for this behavior, why the cash out is slow, is they want you to rebet it. So in these situations where a guy bets 1,000, wins like 2 bets, and now he's up to 2,900, like he should be able to get his cash out tomorrow. So don't make that guy run through all these security checks to pay him out. The FanDuel rep was quoted as saying, well, we do this to deter money laundering and suspicious activity. It's like, oh, you didn't do it on the money in, right? On the deposits, you weren't doing any checks. So 500 deposit, 500 deposit, 500 deposit, 500 deposit. You weren't checking then, but now all of a sudden he wants to pull the money out. And now you're going to do the checks. Like, that's convenient. So, Now, in fairness, FanDuel got the best grade by the Better Business Bureau for speed of withdrawals. So they did the best. MGM got an F, a freaking F. DraftKings, I believe, got a B-. So BetMGM got an F. That is completely unacceptable. And like, if they don't get hit, A, by their stock, and B, by market share, like they should. Because if you get an F by giving people their money, like, you shouldn't be a top 3 sports book.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking to the other facets of BetMGM, their UX, their odds, all that, but like, just be getting a score of an F by giving customers their money, like that's not cool.
Yeah. It's a Wall Street Journal article, and it says about 2,400 complaints have been lodged against the big 3 operators in the past 3 years in regards to issues with withdrawals. And I know I've seen it with people on Twitter, and just, yeah, exactly. Like they make it super easy to get the money in, and then you want to get the money out, and you got to like submit, birth certificate, forms of ID, utility bill, all these different things to say, to claim that you are who you are. Clearly it's just.
Go ahead, Ian. Sorry.
No, they're saying, they're saying it's a safety precaution, but really I think we can all see it's a way just to keep the money in.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Some of the reason they're doing this is a safety precaution. I agree with that. And like, I'm sure you've deterred criminals from cleaning their cash with you. I agree with that. But let's not say that 2% of cases are the other 98%. Like that's not fair. So, I think regulators just aren't smart enough to call them on that. They're like, oh, okay, makes sense. Like, yep, they're doing KYC and AML checks. Okay, leave them alone.
Right.
Nope.
Right. Regulators love AML and KYC.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so those are all some stories in the sports betting industry this week. We do love this industry, and we just always hope that everyone can strive to do better. But with that being said, let's now get into this week's edition of Stake or Swap. First up, we'll be talking about the Dallas Cowboys, currently 10-1 to win the Super Bowl, coming off the largest win on the road in franchise history. Luke, we'll start with you first. Are you staking or swapping the Cowboys at 10-1?
I am swapping the Dallas Cowboys at 10-1. I don't trust this team. I don't trust Dak Prescott. I know Tony Pollard had a good day. Like, he's fine. He's a solid replacement for Zeke. The teams like Zeke has forgotten how to play football. And we said that on this podcast before the season started. Like, I don't know what the heck's going on with that guy. And I know he's been injured, but like, he's awful. I don't trust this team enough. I get it. They beat the Vikings. The Vikings were flying high. Every single season, an elite team has a clunker of a regular season game. It happens all the time, besides the Patriots, of course, going 16-0. Every single year, an elite powerhouse team that's looked really strong just drops a game and they get smoked by a mid-level football team. I just, from a value perspective, like almost single-digit odds this team's going to win the Super Bowl. Like, I just don't see it. So I pulled the offense and defensive yardage, and I prefer looking at how offenses and defenses do based on yardage, not scoring, because I think taking that small sample size of in the red zone is ultimately what wins games. But at the same time, like, I'm more concerned with how you move the ball over the whole period of the football game versus just that within the 20-yard line. So they are 11th in defensive yardage and 14th in terms of offensive yardage. So 13 teams are better than them by moving the ball via offensive yardage, and 10 teams are better than them by keeping the other team to gain as minimal yards. So I get it. They have a lot of sacks, but I don't trust this team. Almost near single digits. I can't get behind that. This team should be 20-1 still. So I will swap the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, those are all fair points. I'm going to stake the Cowboys. They were favored at Minnesota, which was extremely fishy. And it was like, I don't ever, the Vikings are coming off this epic win against Buffalo. The Cowboys are coming off this loss against the Packers in a game they should have won. This line seems really fishy, but the line makers know that the Cowboys are a solid team, and they had them favored on the road. I really like this team, the way they play. They run the ball. They have good defense. I know you don't like exactly in terms of scoring defense, but they are number one in terms of points allowed per game in terms of their defense. They are fifth in terms of yards per play allowed. And like I said, they can run the ball. I think you're not giving Tony Pollard enough credit. He's a great in the pass catching game. Zeke scored a couple times, right? I mean, I think he still serves a purpose around the goal line. The one thing that would give me cause for concern is the receivers, but I think CeeDee Lamb is still solid. Noah Brown plays well, so I'm going to still stake the Cowboys at 10-1. I think they can win in the playoffs. They have a brand of football that can win on the road and in the playoffs. And then the next team we're going to talk about, we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't do a little World Cup talk. We'll be talking about the Netherlands, currently 13-1 to win the World Cup. I'll go first. I am staking the Netherlands. They've already played their first game, which they won 2-0 against probably the second best team in their group. So the Netherlands are 4-0-1 coming into the World Cup, and dating back to 2002, 4 of the 5 winners have entered the tournament on a 5-match unbeaten streak. And so the Netherlands checks that box. In terms of soccer, there are only really like a handful of countries can actually win this thing. I would say about like 9 to 11 different countries. If you look at the odds board, I would say they have to be kind of in the top 11. And so the Netherlands at 13-1 are still in that kind of top group. They are 6-0-2 in their last 8 matches. Like I said, they won 2-0. They've got some great. They've got one of the candidates for the Golden Boot in this Cody Gakpo kid, and so I'll be honest. I got this pick from one of my soccer buddies who follows the stuff way closer than I do, and so in terms of the double-digit long shots, I think the Netherlands is probably one of your best bets if you're looking at the double-digit odds. So I will be staking the Netherlands 13-1 to win the World Cup.
I like it. I would be lying to everyone on this podcast if I had an intelligent take on who is going to win the World Cup. I will be paying attention to it because we sell tickets on the World Cup. But I certainly lean on Ian for intelligent takes on this. I like house music, and my favorite country of DJs is the Netherlands. Guys that are from the Netherlands: Tiesto, Afrojack, Martin Garrix, Armin van Buuren, Nicky Romero, Don Diablo. Like, that is the best country of all time for DJs. So therefore, I'm pulled big cat here. You have to stake the Netherlands at 12-1. I'm, of course, being ironic. Do not take my betting advice on the World Cup. Take my betting advice for other sports, but I will leave this one to Ian, and I will bow out.
Yeah. No, you got to find some slant, and yeah, no, I mean, I think that just goes to show you there's a bunch of talented people coming from the Netherlands, whether it be sports or music. So, yeah, if you're looking for a World Cup long shot, like I said, stay in that kind of top 11 teams, and then I think Netherlands kind of fits that bill. And so I'm super excited for it. I'll be getting up early to watch these matches. Maybe not the 3 a.m. match, but I'll be getting up for the other ones. And so, yeah, I'm super excited to see how this all pans out. And just want to thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Please make sure to subscribe, leave a rating, and we will talk to you next week.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.